Hi, I'm John Kaiser here in Vancouver at the Metals Investor Forum, Saturday, January 20th. I am speaking with Jean-Marc Lulin, CEO of Azimut Exploration. Jean-Marc, welcome to Vancouver.
Thank you.
You have been involved with this company since 2003. It is what we call in the industry a prospect generator farm-out type company. There has been no rollback during this 15-year period. You have only 50 million or so shares. You have a strong shareholder base. You have $3 million in the treasury. Obviously, you have not done this by raising a huge amount of money and spending it on projects. You have succeeded in farming out to all kinds of parties. What was the sort of special approach that you used to convince a partner, and is it a junior that you go after or a major, and do you have different approaches in securing these farm-out deals for the projects that you generate?
The key word is data, geoscientific data, and we rely upon data to increase our success rate in exploring new areas. The first fact we are dealing with, we are now producing globally an enormous amount of data, geoscientific data, which are poorly used for exploration to address the risk factor. And we are using our capability in data processing, in big data processing, to reduce the exploration risk and to offer a good quality project to a wide range of partners.
So big data involves pulling in government assessment file work, geological survey data, using software to crunch it, looking for patterns. What parts have you focused on in pulling the data and checking it out, and why?
In Quebec especially, we're very fortunate because the database is recognized as one of the best in the world. Highly accessible, high quality, and cheap. We use this fact to as a benchmark. We use this database to test our models. We generated several algorithms which allow us to define very good target for specific mineral deposit types. We are interested in opening new regions. And for that specific reason, we are looking for large-scale targets, potentially with a long mining life. We are trying to identify the very, very best targets at the scale of Quebec.
You mentioned the other day that one of your projects has turned out to be a chromium target. And I'd only heard of chromium in the Ring of Fire of northern Ontario, where Cliffs had it at one point. Noront has that project. Chromium is something that is not mined in North America and is potentially of strategic significance. Yes. What is the scale of this chromium target that you have identified compared to what they've come up with in the Ring of Fire?
Obviously, the Ring of Fire is much more advanced, but as you know, it is located in a remote location with a considerable big access problem. In our case, it's a highly accessible project. It's a 4-kilometer long ultramafic intrusion in which we have identified mineralization, massive chromite, which appear very comparable to what has been described in the Ring of Fire. And also this chromium mineralization is associated to a very strong magnetic, electromagnetic, and gravity footprint, which again appears comparable to what has been recognized on the Ring of Fire. And for this specific reason, we decided to move ahead by drilling the project in a few weeks.
You are going to drill it?
Yes.
So,
and this is a 100% own project.
So this would be a case where you like it so much that you prefer to
Yes.
use your own dollars
Yes.
to test it, as opposed to de-risking it up to a point and farming it out to another group. Now, we've been in a pretty tough market for the farm-out model because the juniors that farm in, they are typically of the lifestyle kind who rely on strong technical teams to generate really interesting plays that have a chance at delivering a fundamental success, but they have not been able to raise any monies. The majors have been in retreat and focused on the assets that they have and doing mine site expansion, drilling, and so on. But we may be on the cusp of a revival of the resource sector based on some of these numbers coming about the strength of the global economy. One of the areas where you did a lot of the big data work and also work on the ground is in northwestern Quebec. This is perhaps the most remote part of Canada. It has had even less work done than some of these Arctic islands much farther north.
Yeah.
Tell us about this area and why you are there, what you are looking for.
Yes, we have been driven by the data. It's the exclusive reason. We have identified giant footprint for polymetallic mineralization, including gold, copper, tungsten, and tin. And we are talking about a real outstanding target. It's a 3 kilometer long footprint, very, very few negligible past exploration. And again, we are well aware that the access problem exists, but we are looking for deposits which can justify by themselves the creation of new infrastructure. We are talking about the last exploration frontier in Canada, but we are only dealing with giant targets having the footprint of mining camps. It's really the reason why we are present in the region.
Now, this is obviously a play you do not want to farm out to a small junior. No. It's something for the majors. Assuming it's going to take the majors at least another year before they warm up to conceptual grassroots plays, what can you do in the meantime that isn't a budget-blowing program to enhance it, to bring whatever is there more into focus so that you have the big guys competing to be the farm-in partner?
The first objective is to keep the project in good shape. We have enough credit to keep them. We're always refining the targeting process. We have targets which are ready to be prospected. We may perform an urban geophysical survey to further define targets. And if the conditions are right, we will go by ourselves to improve the best targets we know, and preparing this project for a true deal.
Would you say that this extra work needed is more detailed mapping to tease the geology more into view, so you can put together models of what might be there?
Yeah, more prospecting, but very focused prospecting. You have to realize that we were probably one of the first exploration company to do systematic work in the region. And in 2 years, we have discovered more than 250 new prospects with high grades. And obviously we're making progress. We can make progress very quickly in the region because there are no trees. It's just a very rough country, rocks on lakes, anything else, and a lot of mineralization. And we believe that even if the field season is short, the outcropping rate is so high, we can move very, very quickly into the best areas of the region.
And the Dahlia NorthSouth project, which of course you are now participating 26.6% with Goldcorp and Eastmain. It covers the southern half of the Chichu intrusion. I followed this closely for the past 2 years. It's looked very, very exciting, but it seems to have stalled. Is this the year that there's going to be a breakthrough where the market starts to seriously respect the Chichu intrusion. Goldcorp starts becoming seriously interested in it as a possible future feed for its Elior mine about 8-10 kilometers to the northwest? And if so, where is it going to come from? What is being tried by both your group and what you may know of the other group, Sirius to North, to crack this nut in 2018 so that we finally get valuation liftoff?
Okay, you know, over the past 2 years, we made very significant progress in this area. First, we demonstrated the reality of a huge gold, a huge gold-bearing system related to the tonalite intrusion. And there is a potential for, and probably for an open pitable resource, relatively low grade, but also what we discovered with the Money prospect is a possibility of having a very high-grade system along the Money trend, which is a sub-trend along the prospective corridor within the intrusion. What is interesting, as you know, the Eleanor mine is related to metasediments, and the NorthSouth is related to the intrusive body, the tonalite. But what we see now, we may have like a relationship between what we are finding at NorthSouth and the Eleanor mine itself. This is appearing as a true mining camp game with more than one deposit. In 2 years, we made very good progress with our partners, Goldcorp and Eastmain. Now we are refining our drilling targets, and the next few months will be absolutely critical to further demonstrate the potential for grade and geometric continuity.
Now you're starting off with a 3,500 meter program. The other company, Sirius, is doing an 8,000 meter drill program in the winter. Is your program very specifically focused on teasing out the high grade controls as opposed to more the bigger picture bulk tonnage scenario?
Yes. You know, the past 3 phases of drilling was dedicated to catch, you know, the best to do exploration along the tonalite. Now we are focusing on the best intersection we know, and we try to develop to demonstrate a continuity based on the results we already have in hand.
And one final question, circling back to the Chromite project, which is the Eastmain River. Is that the name of the project? The big problem with the Ring of Fire deposits is the remote location and the need to build access infrastructure. How does your location compare to the situation in the Northern Ontario? And also they have an Indigenous people, First Nations problems in that area too. What is the situation in the Eastmain River part with both location and infrastructure and First Nations issues?
The project itself is highly accessible. We have a road access to the project. We are close to the James Bay Road, which is crossing the entire region. There is road access, power lines nearby. We are close to the Wabushi project owned by Nemaska. Again, the relationship with the Cree community is very good. As you know, there is the concept of Pays des Braves, which is fully functional. We have a very good working relationship with the Cree community. And we believe that, of course, this must be driven by a true quality project with a true discovery potential. But the other side is very positive, very encouraging. We are also close to the shoreline. There is a potential access to the shoreline, to the James Bay coast. And all these factors are speaking for themselves, and this project can move ahead very quickly.
Jean-Marc, I hope you hit high-grade chromite on that target.
Yep.
I've been talking to Jean-Marc Lulin of Azimut Exploration in Vancouver on January 20th at the Metals Investor Forum. Thank you, Jean-Marc.
Thank you, John.